And we're looking back into the year and seeing how we have progressed in terms of that fight. I'll give Betty a chance to respond to the last story that we were talking about, and that had to do with a declaration that Uhuru will go for PM, and claims, this is according to former Jubilee Vice Chair David Murathe, who resigned earlier on. What's your take on that?
Well, this thought, I think, has been lingering around for a while. This is not the first time I'm hearing it, and I don't think this is the first time it's a headline on a local daily.
True.
And the author of it, being, of course, the former Jubilee Vice Chairman, David Murathe, is one of those individuals that we were saying that if you hear him speak, you know, that is not a statement you want to take lightly. Yes. But anyhow, so for me, my thought is, look, we have a constitution that is guiding us currently, and will guide us until it is revised, you know, through whatever means. So as it stands right now, I think it is clear that once a president does his or her 2 terms, you know, in office, then that's it, all right? But we are in a dispensation where we are currently discussing, you know, the constitution itself. Time to look at it again, you know, has come. We are almost 10 years into, you know, this current constitution.
Yes.
And I think following up also on the conversations within the BBI report, it's now back to Kenyans. Kenyans are talking about it. Kenyans are interrogating it. Kenyans are looking at it. And Kenyans will give their feedback and their thought on how they would wish to see, you know, the BBI in itself, you know, improved. So for me, if it will be, you know, the will of Kenyans to have, you know, the current president still be in power in a different capacity, and it is done through a democratic, you know, process, then really why not? You know, so but I think also I'd want to look at the why.
Yes.
All right. And try to interrogate you know, this particular issue in terms of what is the value add, what would he do differently, how would he continue to steer, you know, this country into even greater prosperity and things like that. So I'm thinking this is a statement that Kenyans need to think through, Kenyans need to debate, Kenyans need to, you know, interrogate, but look at it within the broader context of the BBI and an even broader context of a constitutional review.
Right, and as the story suggests, it's not clear yet as to whether Ruto even wants to remain the Jubilee leader in the coming years, even though his lieutenants have given that indication in informal gatherings and addresses across the country. And we have Mr. David Murathe saying, why is there a clamor for elections coming from them? Let them know and they understand that the president will remain the party leader come rain or sunshine, and if they have plans to contest that, let them bring it on. The earlier the better. Mr. Mutie, it's a very tough talk right here. What's your take on the sort of the feel of the whole statement? It's not just what is being said, but how.
Absolutely. I think that says a lot about Jubilee as a party. First of all, we just need to ask ourselves whether the Jubilee that we saw in the run to 2017 elections is still the same Jubilee that we are seeing today. And I'll tell you, it's not the same. There are discerning forces within. There is conflict, which is sometimes healthy for a party to thrive, because from there you are able to understand on what to do and what not to do. What are the, you know, ramifications of staying together, and what are the ramifications of not staying together. And for a party to withstand that turbulence within itself is a test whether that party is actually mature enough to align itself to the democratic principles that calls for tolerance and respect for people's opinion within the party, whether they are right or not, whether you are in agreement or you are not. So that's a test for the party itself, whether it's going to stand the test of time within that kind of turbulence environment.
Yeah.
And again, I think the president himself, to me, I think, as I said before, he has all the, you know, democratic rights to, you know, champion for an agenda, whichever cause he would want to take politically as a person. But we also have some balances that need to also be taken into account for the very cohesion of this country, whether the direction that is going to take will actually create that platform of a cohesive nation or not. And that should be one of the talking points, that when we are taking actions or inactions, it all has to boil down at the end of the day that we have to maintain a peaceful and a cohesive nation.
Yeah, absolutely. And